You are 3 times forgotten, and this forgetfulness was not accidental. You've heard the name Hermes Trismegistus, but perhaps you've never truly been introduced to him. He is called the thrice great. But what does that mean, and what does it have to do with you? At this very moment, you carry within yourself 3 powers that can completely transform the way you perceive the world, create your reality, and reconnect with the highest part of your consciousness. But these 3 powers have been silenced, erased by a routine that doesn't want you to remember who you are. Today's video is not about mythology, it's about rediscovery. Together, we will pass through the veils of forgetfulness, reveal the 3 keys that activate your divine mind. And when that happens, nothing, absolutely nothing, will seem the same. You may not remember, but a part of you already knows the way. And now, it's time to return. In the ancient world, certain names weren't just names, they were keys. Hermes Trismegistus is one of those names. But he is not a figure trapped in the sands of time. He is an archetype, a symbolic mirror, a code for something that pulses within you. Hermes Trismegistus was born from the meeting of 2 spiritual powers, Thoth, the Egyptian god of wisdom, scribe of the gods and master of time, and Hermes, the Greek messenger, conductor of souls, patron of the word and of the crossing between worlds. When Egypt and Greece spiritually intertwined in Alexandria, a new consciousness emerged, the Hermetic consciousness. But Hermes Trismegistus was not just an amalgam of gods. He was the personification of a higher mental state, one that masters 3 great universal forces: philosophy, magic, and the word. They called him thrice great because it was said he was a master of 3 realms: the mind that contemplates the cosmos, the ritual that shapes reality, and the word that vibrates and creates. These 3 greatnesses are not trapped in ancient scrolls. They live in you. The problem is that, at some point in history, this knowledge stopped being transmitted. The schools closed. The symbols were hidden. The language was corrupted. And over time, we forgot that thinking is more than rationalizing, that acting is more than repeating, and that speaking is more than making sounds. Today, when people hear the name Hermes Trismegistus, many think of vague esotericism or distant myths. But the true Trismegistus is not outside. He is waiting to be remembered within. And that is why this video exists. To show you how these 3 keys, philosophy, magic, and the word, can still be accessed. And more than that, they can completely transform the way you inhabit the world. You were born connected to the whole, but something was broken. Today, the human mind lives in exile, exiled from itself, trapped between screens, tasks, notifications, empty promises. Life has been turned into noise, and inner silence has become a stranger. Philosophy became argument, magic became a trick, and the word became distraction. Each day, we are taught to think less, feel less, imagine less, as if there were an invisible force committed to keeping us separated from our origin. And the farther we move from the center, the more reality feels like a maze with no map. This disconnection has a price: chronic anxiety, a sense of emptiness, a loss of direction. Many try to fill that hole with productivity, entertainment, or instant beliefs. But the hole remains, because it is not outside. It lies in the forgetting of who you are. Poimandres, in the first treatise of the Corpus Hermeticum, says, "You are mind, and you have forgotten. You are light, and you mistake yourself for shadow." These words were written over 2,000 years ago, yet they feel whispered today. The fragmented mind cannot perceive the whole because it has lost its center. It spins around external stimuli and forgets to look inward, where true power resides. The archetype of Hermes Trismegistus is the antidote to this spiritual amnesia. He did not come just to teach, he came to remind. And what if the suffering you feel is not a mistake, but a calling? What if the feeling of being lost is, in fact, the first proof that a path exists? What if that path is already traced within you? If the mind has forgotten, the heart still knows. And it is through the heart that we will pass through the veil of forgetfulness, because the next step is to remember. And remembering is more than knowing. Remembering is reactivating. In the damp dawn of a village forgotten by time, a man was drawing symbols by the light of a low candle. His name was Matteo. He did not speak by choice. Since he had lost faith in words, he began to communicate through forms, strokes, lines that seemed to carry memories of the sky. One morning, while tracing a circular symbol with 3 stems, he felt a slight tremor in his hand. The stroke seemed alive, the paper warm, and without knowing why, he murmured for the first time in years, "I am the one who thinks the stars." This gesture, almost invisible, was his return. A bridge reconnecting. There are bridges like this that defy explanation, that do not arise from logic, but from the subtle touch between the visible and the invisible. And there are keys. 3 of them, ancient, precise, spiritually mathematical. They were not created, but remembered. And they are available to those who dare to cross their own forgetfulness. The first of these keys is the gaze, the way you see everything, including yourself. Hermetic philosophy was never a heap of concepts. It is a way of perceiving that dissolves the boundaries between what is observed and what observes. The universe, for Hermes, was not an external structure, but a mental projection, an echo of the greater mind in every atom of the world. This is what Poimandres reveals right at its opening. The voice that speaks to Hermes identifies itself as the mind of the all, and it says, "You are part of me." That phrase changes everything. It is not a metaphor, it is a remembrance. Reality, as you know, it is not solid, it thinks, and in thinking, it creates. And in creating, it manifests that which you silently sustain. The practice that awakens this key is simple, yet profound. Close your eyes for a moment. Inhale as if the air were a thought coming from a distant place. Exhale as if the world gently dissolved around you. Now say within yourself, "I am the all. The all is in me." Repeat 3 times, not as a memorized mantra, but as listening, as if you were waiting deep in your chest for a response that does not come in words. This small meditation is not a relaxation exercise. It is a reprogramming of focus, a subtle shift in the axis of the mind, repositioning your center from the periphery to the luminous point where everything begins. And from that point, the second movement is born. Once vision changes, everything changes. To see is to create. And when you begin to see as the all sees, the second key reveals itself, not as an idea, but as a practice. Hermes was not just a thinker, he was an operator of the invisible. And at the heart of the Hermetic tradition, magic is not illusion. It is precision. It is a subtle science that manipulates layers of reality through intention, symbol, and breath. Among the writings attributed to Hermes, the Latin treatise of Asclepius describes magic as a sacred art, not as spectacle, but as a tool for purification. Before changing the world, one changes within. That is why the rite begins with the symbol, a sign that represents what you wish to remember in yourself. The proposal here is simple. Draw a monogram, a combination of your initials with strokes inspired by figures that evoke the sacred for you. It doesn't need to be beautiful. It needs to be true. It needs to pulse something within you. With the symbol before your eyes, breathe 3 times rhythmically. As you inhale, imagine light rising from the earth. As you exhale, visualize this light passing through your body and touching the drawn mark. Then, with your fingertips, touch the symbol with intention, as if activating something ancient, something forgotten but alive. This seemingly small gesture begins to redraw the subtle field around you. This practice is a way of telling the universe, I am ready to remember. I am making space within myself for the invisible to manifest clearly. This is not about superstition, but about language. The language of form. The rite is the grammar of the invisible. And when you learn to speak this language, everything around you begins to respond. But the most powerful response doesn't come from objects. It comes from sound, from the vibration of the word. And there, the third key opens. The word is not just communication. It is energetic coding. It is sound drawing. Hermes called this the logos, the living verb that organizes chaos. The emerald tablet, attributed to him, summarizes in one line the secret of all creation. That which is above is like that which is below. This phrase is not just a philosophy. It is a vibrational technology. What is affirmed in the realm of the word echoes in the realm of form. To activate this key, choose a phrase that represents what you wish to affirm as reality. A living phrase. It could be, I am the vibration of the all-in manifestation. Write this phrase with care, as if drawing the very essence of your soul. Imagine you are writing on ancient papyrus, offered to the desert winds. Then, at dawn, recite the phrase aloud, 9 times, standing with your feet touching the ground, as one who anchors the sky to the earth. Feel the vibration not just in the sound, but in the body, because it is in the body that the word becomes flesh. These 3 keys, vision, rite, and word, are not mystical formulas. They are operative remembrances. They are paths to guide the fragmented mind back to its sacred center. Above all, they are ways to remember what you never ceased to be. You have spent your life seeking answers, books, methods, doctrines. But what you may never have considered is that there is nothing more to be added, only remembered. When you meditate as cosmic mind, when you draw symbols that speak with the invisible, and when you speak words that echo beyond sound, you are not learning something new. You are returning. The highest point of this journey is not the conquest of external power, but the silent recognition of a power that has always been there, breathing through you. You are not a mere spectator of reality. You are the mold, the original vibration, the word before the sound. Hermes Trismegistus is not a myth to be admired. He is a reflection, a mirror of what you become when you activate the 3 greatnesses of being: vision that penetrates, rite that transforms, and word that creates. At this moment, you may realize that your entire life was a calling, that the strange symbols, the recurring dreams, the nameless restlessness were reminders, signs that the Trismegistus already lived within you, but was waiting for this encounter. And now, something has changed, because one who sees can no longer unsee, and one who remembers does not return to forgetfulness. Your divine mind is not a reward for a few, it is a birthright, and it begins to awaken the very moment you stop seeking outward and begin to echo inward. It is not just about faith, it is about legacy, tradition, testimony. The Corpus Hermeticum, translated by scholars such as M.A. McGuinness, contains detailed accounts of dialogues between Hermes and the principle of divine mind. It describes not only the structure of the universe, but also the subtle workings of consciousness, how thought generates form, how the word invokes presence, how gesture channels energy. G.R.S. Mead, in his monumental work, Thrice Greatest Hermes, deeply investigated the origin of this wisdom. He demonstrated how it did not arise by chance, but was born in the heart of a culture where philosophy, science, and spirituality were not separate. In Alexandria, all was one, and the human being was seen as a bridge between heaven and earth, exactly like Hermes, the messenger of the gods. The Emerald Tablet, whose content was translated by Isaac Newton, is not an isolated esoteric piece. It synthesizes laws of correspondence that influenced alchemists, mystics, Renaissance philosophers, and continues to resonate in contemporary practices of manifestation and healing. Today, in quiet circles, these three keys are still practiced. People who have chosen to dive into deep silence report similar experiences: sudden mental clarity, inexplicable synchronicities, a renewed sense of purpose. They don't follow a religion. They don't need temples. The temple is the body, the rite is attention, and the word is the truth one dares to speak. Hermetic knowledge did not survive by accident. It pulses because it continues to work. And at this very moment, you are holding the three keys in your hands. You don't need to become an initiate in ancient mysteries to apply what you've learned here. You don't need to master extinct languages or wear ceremonial robes. You just need to remember. Remember that your mind is not merely a reflection of reality. It is the origin, that your everyday gestures, when made with presence, are as sacred as any ancestral rite. That your words, when spoken with intention, can reorganize everything around you. From today forward, each decision can be a conscious choice of vibration. Each silence, a fertile field for the right word. Each dawn, a new chance to align what you think, feel, and manifest. The three keys of the Trismegistus are not distant concepts. They are practices. They are access points. And above all, they are reminders. You are not separate from the divine. You are the divine, remembering itself. Hermes taught that true knowledge is not in information, but in transformation. He said, "Unless you make yourself something greater than the gods, you will not understand the light." That phrase is not a metaphor of grandeur. It is a call to reintegration, to the courage to live with presence, power, and truth. So, if you've made it this far, something has already changed. The mind that watches is no longer the same that began. And that is enough, because when remembrance awakens, reality bows. You are the word before the sound, the stroke before the symbol, the light before the form. Now breathe, and be the Trismegistus of your own creation. If this content ignited something in you, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and activate notifications. Write in the comments, "I am the living remembrance of the All," and declare your reconnection. Share this video with someone who needs to awaken the sacred within, and click the screen to watch another transformative video. Remember, when you activate the divine mind, it's not the world that changes. It's the way you recreate it, with every thought, every gesture, every word.